Today on Rise Up, we dive into the latest community posts on the official YouTube channel of The Riser, while also shining a spotlight on the faces of our new brothers and sisters from around the globe as they pledge their allegiance to The Riser. Sacred Dialogues. We continue with the discussion on the latest lecture series of The Riser. Next, Nature Unleashed with Kevin Al-Mahdi, discussing the reaction of the earth itself to mankind's injustices. And finally, Protest in Paris. We are joined live with the bishops of France and Algeria, Guillaume and Yasmine Al-Mahdi, to discuss the upcoming protest taking place in France in response to oppression faced by Moroccan believers. This is Rise Up.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rise Up. I'm Alia Halal.
Good morning. I'm Irfan Alamgir, and welcome to Rise Up.
So today we're going to be having quite a day. We're going to be having two guests on the show. We're excited about that. That's our dear brother Guillaume and sister Yasmine, as you saw in the introduction there. And they're going to be coming over to talk about the unrest or the protest that's going to be happening today. In France, there are believers who are outraged by what is going on in Morocco and how the government are ruthlessly raiding the houses of the believers. They are arresting them, prosecuting them under strange charges that make absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yes.
People are upset about it. There are people who are standing up, rising up, saying, look, let's make some noise about this, and as they should, because injustice should not be tolerated in any land.
Yes, and always good to hear a fresh perspective from people who have their ear close to the ground. And our representatives, Brother Guillaume and Sister Yasmine, have been in very close contact with those unfortunate individuals in Morocco who've had to face this extreme level of persecution on par with those in the Middle Eastern countries of Iraq and Iran that we've spoken about before on the show, as well as the scenes that we witnessed in Turkey that played out when the members of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light were seeking refuge, and they were beaten away and they were put into detention camps, and the saga continues. And the call for the refugee land, I think, has to be voiced louder and louder in the context of this extreme level of persecution, a place where the persecuted can escape and find a safe refuge. And this is exactly what Abba Sadiq called for recently, and in one of the episodes of the School of Divine Mysteries. And then this spawned a whole petition where people were asked to sign up for this land where those people who are fleeing from extreme brutal treatment can live normal lives. And the Qaim of the family of Muhammad is the only one to offer a solution like this. There are countries talking about putting people in these, essentially these glorified slums where people can rot as they wait to see the outcome of their asylum applications, but to have a real country for those people who are not accepted in their homeland where they can live dignified lives is a very unique proposition to a problem that has plagued mankind since its very beginning. So yes, we have a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to get into that segment with Brother Guillaume and Sister Yasmine.
You know, you reminded me of how during the 104, when this whole incident took place, when they were standing there at the Turkish-Bulgarian border, and the way that they were treated, and how they were treated like that so quickly. It didn't take long, basically. As soon as they arrived at the scene, it was within a matter of minutes that the authorities decided, okay, let's go for it. And they just immediately attacked them with gunshots and firing.
Batons,
firing bullets into the air, knowing there are women and children in the crowd and elderly. It really was very horrifying to watch.
There was blood pouring, there were women and children screaming. It was one of those
injured.
Scenes.
It wasn't just a matter of making them afraid. They actually attacked them physically, and it was a very abusive situation that we witnessed there. And then they had them all heralded into this very tight space, and they were just locked in there. They weren't allowed to leave, and the heat was really high. It was very bad. But during that time, when we were here at AROPL Studios, we were watching it live. And we were outraged by what we were seeing. And we started this campaign where we began to speak about it. And every day we would go on live and we would basically raise awareness of the situation, because communication is the first step towards change. And we started this hashtag, and it began to get used around the world by the Ansar. It was humanity before borders. And it was very touching, because we know that our religion says humanity before everything. Humanity before religion, humanity before whatever you might think might be important. But specifying it to humanity before borders felt very revolutionary, because that's one of the biggest issues we're facing right now in the world. It's this idea of the separations, right? And border can be used in many ways. It can be a physical border that stops you from entering a country, and it can be a symbolic border, something that doesn't allow people to enter within your space, within your mindset, that you don't want to enter into their mindset. Or you don't want to empathize with their situation. You want to see them as inferior, perhaps, because of their orientation, because of their race, because of their complexion. People have the most ridiculous reasons to see one another as superior or inferior. So the idea of humanity being before borders basically indicates that, imagine a world where people thought that way. There wouldn't be suffering, there wouldn't be intolerance, there wouldn't be prejudice. And refugee land is that solution to that problem, because it wouldn't just be a place where people could, and that's the thing, right? This is what's so beautiful about this place. It's not just a land where you can dump a lot of people in that are unwanted. It would be their land. It would be a land where they would have the jurisdiction to live as they think they should, and be given the power to do so. They would be enabled to live a wholesome life. If they are Christian, they'd have a church. If they were Jewish, they'd have their own temple to go and pray to.
And it would cost significantly less money than the governments of certain countries are willing to pay other countries in order to do all of this. Yes,
exactly. So instead of basically shoving a lot of supposedly unwanted people, because we don't see them as unwanted, but people who are unwanted by many, into these slums, and expecting them to serve as slaves to the state, they would be given a state, and they would be given that ability to live dignified human lives. And that's why refugee land is so important, and it is the next step, it's the way forward.
Yes. Or the alternative is that there is a divine judgment that's passed, because when you close the... so, for example, if you are somehow participating in the creation of these dire conditions that cause people to flee in dinghy boats and their children drown in freezing waters, and you refuse to allow them to disembark because they are not here legally with the right paperwork, then there is a God in heaven that is watching. And we've seen over and over again, and history teaches us a very valuable lesson, that if this happens on a consistent basis, then so does the karmic law take place, where the country that arrogantly rejected those people who sought refuge on their lands are quickly brought to their knees by an all-powerful God who is watching in heaven. And this is a God that is deeply involved. And this is, of course, our call to the countries of this world who see the refugee problem as a real issue, to really get behind and support this idea of creating this refugee land, where you can see on the screen there the episode that I was alluding to earlier, that was released on the 19th of February, just this month. And you can see that there is still an option to sign the petition. I don't know if we've reached that goal yet, the initial goal of 500 people.
This was taken a while ago anyway,
this is a
probably
while ago.
There is a lot more. But go ahead and check out for yourselves. Find out, scan the QR code and see for yourselves what's going on with the petition. People are signing it. People are excited. They are seeing it as the solution. It's not about now your religious inclination anymore. This is about solving the problems of humanity.
Yes.
And moving forward with a solution that benefits everyone. And the only person who really has brought forward solutions that benefit one and all so far, in my vision, is Abu Sadiq. I mean, I don't know anyone else who's come up with that and said, hey, let's go ahead and do something. He's actually taking steps to make this world a better place. If you're in the same boat as we are, wanting to make this world a better place, then we call the boat the Ark of Salvation, and you're more than welcome to be a part of it.
Yeah, and what makes this a real tangible solution that can be applied is that the government's already doing it. So all they're doing right now is they're looking around countries where they can procure the land at its cheapest possible value, and have on it built these kind of mediocre, semi-hotel, hostel kinds of situations where communal living is possible, they are paying the hosting countries for their land and for these buildings and for the consumption of energy, water, etc., all of these expenses that come with it, and they are paying them this plus more in order to be able to house the individuals who are now without a home for the reasons of war or famine or other types of disasters that these unfortunate people have had to encounter in their homeland due to political situations in the most part, actually. And if that's already happening, and these undesirables are not wanted in a country, for example, let's say Europe, because they do not want their culture being diluted by a foreign culture, and they see this as a problem, and they do, because these elections are won and lost on the basis of this, and we've seen this recently.
Exactly.
Then why not just take that additional step and get an organization like, let's say, NATO, which is a military kind of alliance? Well, they can make another alliance called the Refugee Problem Alliance. You can call it
RPO.
RPO, exactly. And then these countries, which includes Western Europe, North America, Australia, all the rich countries, to get together, Japan included, and say, look, we have a problem. We are creating these dire situations on the ground for these people. We have put into place these strategies, this economic model that is bankrupting people, looting, pillaging, civil war is breaking out everywhere. Well, since we did create a lot of these problems, why don't we offer these poor people a chance? Because right now they are drowning in their own blood. And this cannot continue, because if it does, we will feel the blowback of this in some way, shape or form.
Absolutely.
And we've seen already a lot of natural disasters and fires that have burnt to cinders acres and acres of previously top-notch real estate. Land and so forth and so on. And I just make this example that if all of this is being done already, then I think this can be done on a slightly larger scale. There is so much uninhabited land
and a more
on planet
humane
Earth.
scale as well.
Yes, this needs to happen. It is a very viable solution to those people who've mentioned in the comments, trying to ridicule the idea by saying, let's send them to the North Pole, etc., etc. This is, of course, there are idiots everywhere. But in this situation, it is a very real solution. And the Qaim of the family of Muhammad is the one who is coming forward and demanding that this happen and take place. There is, and we had a caller yesterday, and he was saying there are 40 million approximately refugees by most statistics that tell us. Also, there are 40 million homes that are uninhabited. Nobody lives in these houses, subhanAllah. So it is God's way of saying, and Abu Sadiq has said this already, that there is poverty only on planet Earth is because the rich are taking the share of the poor. And this is a perfect demonstration of this, that we have all these people who need a land, who need a home, and there are homes available but no one to move into them. I mean, look at the injustice of the world that we live in.
Down.
And it's such an easy fix. That's the other thing that really gets
People are putting resources into solutions which are inhumane.
Yes.
Let's put those resources into a humane solution that's more practical, more within our grasp, and something that everyone would be happy with. Because what people are doing now and allowing to happen is that all across the world, everything that makes a person stable is being dismantled. Whether it's the structure of the nuclear family, whether it's the idea of having your own cultural identity, whether it's living in a land where there's no war and no issues between two tribes that are fighting, and these kinds of problems are creating instability, and they're being allowed, they're being promoted, they're even being paid for. Money is being put into concepts and ideas and practices that are creating instability. So people are confused, and the next generation is even more confused, and it's even more in pain and more disconnected. So what's going to happen to the third generation after? It's going to get worse and worse until we put a halt to what's taking place now and come up with the humane solutions that are going to allow, on a mass scale, people to have their identities, people to have their ability to live freely, to be able to breathe, because right now people are suffocating and they're being considered low, they're being considered inferior. And just the idea that there is a class system, just the idea that people are walking around in the East and in the West, it's not even just an Eastern problem. It's a worldwide issue. People are walking around thinking that there is a superiority and an inferiority between human beings. They think that that can exist on the basis of the most ridiculous ideas. So if that's happening,
yes,
then what will happen in the future? How will this toxicity increase? It will become so bad that what more do we expect? We will end up seeing people being imposed upon or compelled to believe in things they don't want to. You have 2 boys in Morocco who are doing nothing wrong, being snatched away from their home, and the world is okay with it. It seems to be a normal thing, and it's not. And if, at some point, it's going to become a bigger problem and a bigger problem. And at some point, like you said, as people are drowning in their own blood, the number of people drowning in their own blood will just keep increasing. So until we find solutions to create stability, which actually benefit people and are not just putting money into the pockets of those who come up with these ideas, or actually trying to profit off of the backs of other people by so-called solutions that they come up with, put aside these politicians, put aside these scholars, these fallible men who don't have our best interests at heart. They never have.
Yes.
So they're not going to have it today. They didn't have it yesterday. They're not having it today. They're not going to have it tomorrow. So the person with the solutions has to be someone different, someone who's not a fallible human being who is corrupted by the idea of profit. It has to be someone who has no gain in it for their own self, but rather they are doing it selflessly, they're altruistic about it, and they're humane about it. Because they are divinely appointed. Because God is the best decision maker in this respect. He's the one who knows who can actually make the solutions and make it happen for us. And it's not ourselves. We can't get to choose who it is. It hasn't worked so far. So we have to give that a chance.
Yes, and there is 2 sides to this whole argument. One is saying there is not enough space, there are too many people. It's this lack mentality that is based on a nihilistic ideology, that they think that, okay, we have limited amounts of space and resources and we have too many people and therefore we need to depopulate. These are some of the most watched videos on social media, people who are talking like this. And on the other hand, you've got an individual who is claiming to be appointed by God, saying there is more than enough space and resources. There is room for everyone to live lives of dignity. And there is no extreme measure in place like the one-child policy that was adopted in China, which had lots of bad kind of repercussions that are still being felt to this day. And now you also have the rise of the family of Muhammad saying that there is so much space in the world for these people to go to. And there is also a recent case study where a large number of people were moved from one land into another land. And this happened, of course, very famously in the British Empire, where there was overpopulation on the mainland in the UK, but there was also a large prisoner population, and in order to cope and deal with people, they were sent to colonies abroad. Australia, for example, a land that was largely uninhabited, and New Zealand had huge outfluxes of people going to live there, and of course they became countries in their own right, but they were kind of the initial prototype of what a refugee land could look like. So there have been recent examples in history where it's been done very successfully, and now they are actually nations that are richer than the homeland. So we've had examples in history where it's done. There's plenty of land, there is plenty of money. It's just a question of execution, and the Qaim of the family of Muhammad is calling on world leaders to do something about a problem that is going from bad to worse, and not a single world leader has been able to do anything up until this point. So the challenge has been set, the solution has been offered. The question is now, will the world leaders implement a plan that is so easy in principle and has a precedent behind it where it has worked? Will they now do, or will they just talk?
And if they do just talk, that's also fine, because we are here to do it, and we have the ability, we have the dedication, we have the sincerity, we're willing to work hard, and there are people across the globe who are standing up, united, rising up, saying, hey, let's go ahead and do it, because we do believe that there is a man appointed by God. We do believe he's mentioned in the holy will of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, and that is in and of itself enough to give your all to the concept. the fact that God has decided who should be leading mankind. And it's not even just that though. There's so much more that makes us know that we should be supporting this call. And just the mere fact that he's come with this incredible humane proposal, it is deserving that the people support it. It is deserving that the people rise up and do something about it. So we will do it. We will be able to achieve it. Whether the people out there who claim to have positions of power that they deserve to have, they say, hey, we should be in charge, but we won't help the people. We won't come up with solutions. Fine, don't. Because we know that there is a man who will, and there is a future out there that is going to be a bright one. And we have believers, as I said, across the globe who are doing something to wake the world up. And there are so many community posts that we had to go through today. Yep. So let's
launch into them. Let's
go into what's going on around the world with the Ahmadi religion of peace and light. And you can actually find these community posts yourself on the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel. Let's go through some of them today. Okay. Oh, I love this one.
Yes. This is your old friend Donna, huh?
Yes. So Donna came, actually she visited the headquarters once. And she's such an incredible person. She really is. So Abu Sadiq from Him Is Peace actually writes about her. He says, this pure woman, Donna, a former Messianic Jew, a former Catholic Christian, a former UK police officer, currently a faithful and devout member of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light. Donna just got a tattoo across her arm which says, Labbaik Abu Sadiq. I was at a loss of words. This touched my heart and soul. Thank you, my dear pure daughter, Donna. Thank you for everything. These are very warm words by Abu Sadiq. He's obviously very touched by what she did. And what she did is, it really is phenomenal.
It is. And this is a lady who has learned about this religion coming from a Messianic Jewish background. She has jumped from Christianity to Messianic Judaism, then to the Islamic religion, and from there, the Shia branch of Islam, and then finally the Ahmadi religion of peace and light. It was, well, what does it tell you? It tells you that this is a researcher, this is somebody who is really interested in religion, who wants to get to the essence of the truth that is within every religion. And she was able to do that because she sincerely sought God. And anyone who sincerely seeks God and makes the requisite effort, God is always there to guide them at every step and very tenderly make them reach the Imam of the time. And Donna was able to do that. And in her act of gratitude to be able to find the riser of the family of Muhammad, who is the Jesus of his day, the man appointed by God with the Spirit of God, she has now responded by putting on her arm a message that says that she is always at the service of the Imam of her time in the Arabic language, beautiful language which has beautiful calligraphy, and God bless Donna for doing so.
God bless her. I mean, imagine. So really, I want to do this. I want to put myself in her shoes, and I want the people to put themselves in her shoes. We're talking about this incredible woman who's so proud of her faith, and so proud of the fact that she knows the Imam of her time, that she puts onto her skin a message in Arabic, okay? It's a message in Arabic. While she's not living in the Middle East, she's got a message in Arabic on her arm, knowing how some people respond to that language, you know, and the countries where that language is spoken. And she doesn't care about that. She knows that that's a ridiculous reason for anyone to be afraid. She has it tattooed onto her arm, okay? So it's there for life. And it says on it, Labbaik Abu Sadiq, which means I am at your service, Abu Sadiq. I am there for you, Abu Sadiq. That's what it means. Now imagine she's out there and she's wearing a shirt and somebody sees it and says, oh, what's that? What does that mean? She's ready to explain what it means because it's on her arm.
Yes.
That is literally holding your faith there on your sleeve and actually working by it. She's an example of a person who knows the Imam of her time and actually is expressing her faith to the world proudly. This is a true believer, and this is how the believers are meant to be. And peace be upon Donna.
Peace be upon Donna. And she could have very easily gotten a generic Islamic tattoo that said Subhanallah or something like this on it, which would have been great as well. But she chose to put the name of the Imam of the time.
Subhanallah.
And to put down the kunya of Abu Sadiq, who is the Imam of this age. And the reason why we're all sitting here and talking about the coming of the Mahdi to put that on your arm is a real statement of faith and intent.
Yes.
And this is a woman who really wants to get to the truth by any means necessary and give her service in whatever way she can offer. So we appreciate and commend Sister Donna, and we hope to see her very soon.
Yes, we'd love to see her again. And you know, she reminded me of that hadith, Dr. Irfan, the one that says that in the end times, those who enter the matter of the Mahdi will be those that the people did not expect, while those that they expected to be a part of the matter would actually leave this matter. You wouldn't expect that someone who came from a Messianic Jewish background, you know, living in England, would actually be a part of the call. But there you go. It's happening. It is a fulfillment of prophecy. And that's what we see in the call of the Mahdi. People from every nation are joining him, while those who claim to be believers in Muhammad and Ali Muhammad are leaving and saying that they do not want to accept that the Mahdi comes with a new covenant. They do not want to accept that the Mahdi speaks English. They do not want to accept that the Mahdi could be in the United Kingdom. They have ridiculous reasons. We have Muslims out there. I say Muslim because they call themselves Muslim, but we say so-called Muslims who say that he can't be the Mahdi because he's wearing a black hat, a black beanie. So there are very troubling reasons for why people refuse to believe in the Mahdi being who he is. While people of other nations and other places around the world are saying, well, he's been mentioned by Prophet Muhammad in his will, peace be upon him and his family. That is enough of an evidence. And it truly is, because that's exactly what the Imams from the lineage of Prophet Muhammad said. They said that you will know the Mahdi by the will. So peace be upon Donna and everyone else who has recognized the Imam of the time. And a lot of them are actually mentioned in more posts. Let's go ahead and see what is said about them.
Yes, let's move on.
Okay, so this is happening in America. So we have brothers and sisters in the lands of America going around spraying the posters of Abu Sadiq saying the Mahdi has appeared with that QR code on it. SubhanAllah.
Yes. And there is more images there. And I think these are people, I assume, walking towards a mosque, or is it just any street in America? These are the brothers who are now putting up the flyers.
It looks like they're going for prayer, for sure.
Yes, it looks like somebody's headed for communal prayer. And as they head to the communal prayer, they see the face of the Mahdi.
The Mahdi, wow. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. That is really cool. I like the idea of putting it on the cars. You mentioned that too, right, Dr. Irfan?
Yeah,
that you have to go and check what's been put onto your...
Yeah, you usually go in with a heart that's beating fast, palpitations, a bit of sweat, and then you see this relief.
Fight or flight mode.
Yes.
And there you see Abu Sadiq's face. Peace be upon the believers in America who are standing up in that land and sharing the news that the Mahdi has appeared.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of an insider on what's happening in the streets of America. So in the West, again, isn't it fascinating?
Yes, and we need more people to catch this this dawah in America. We had a phone call actually from a brother who called in yesterday, and he had some fascinating questions to ask. Brother Zach, I believe his name was. We didn't know where in America. We probably should have asked, but he was in the land of the brave and the home of the free, or however it goes. Maybe I butchered that completely, but
maybe it's the other way around. Land of the free and home of the brave?
Yes,
I wouldn't know.
I'm doing the same thing as my parents used to do.
He's from America.
Yeah. Regardless, it was really good to hear from him, and he asked some fascinating questions. So you can tell that the dawah is getting a lot of airtime in America. People are interested.
Yes.
It is a country
and
that
we have a lot of believers actually in America and Canada. There's quite a big number of people, and it's growing. It's like a growing number, and it's constantly growing, and it's very fascinating to see that. Yeah,
it'd be great to have a headquarters there that is on par with the one that we have in the UK. We're very ambitious. We want to do it, and we just need willing people who are prepared to give their time and efforts to a cause that is the most important cause of the day, of the time, of the epoch that we live in. And I think the United States is a country where people have this inherent love of religion and God, much more so than Europe. And I think there are some great individuals just waiting to be woken up there who have not heard yet of the message but soon will. And I anticipate, and we all do, that there will be some many great believers that are going to pledge allegiance soon from the USA, where there are as many states as there are in Europe, and the land is absolutely filled with people of faith who are looking for God in this day and age, an age where there is much corruption in religion. And in spite of the fact that in Europe people have adopted atheistic ways, people people in the US are still looking for answers, still feeling the presence of God, but unable to find him yet. But we have Abu Sadiq, Abdullah Hashim, who is the successor of the Prophet Muhammad, mentioned by name in his will, as we say, and he's calling people from all over the world. And I think that anyone in the United States who is watching this on live stream on YouTube, we would love to connect with you. Call us at any time, and somebody from our outreach team is usually available to pick up the call. So it would be better if you'd call on the show.
Yeah.
Call us on Rise Up, and
it helps people more, right, to have that conversation live on television. We all learn a little bit from the conversation. So that would be wonderful.
Yes, indeed.
So we just looked at some place in the West. Now let's go towards the East and see what's happening there. There are believers in the East as well who are working very, very hard. I think the next post is about Egypt. There's a lot going on in Egypt, right? There's a lot of noise happening there. The people of Egypt who are pledging their allegiance to the Qaim Abu Sadiq are really rising up. I mean, every day we're getting notified that they're going out on the streets, doing some work. Let's go ahead and see what was put up on the post. Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, writes about them: they will not stop nor get tired or bored until all of Egypt hears this call. How beautiful is this?
And that's the land of the Qaim, Egypt, the great country from which so many prophets and messengers actually came out of, but also visited at certain points in their lives. And this is, of course, the land of the riser of the family of Muhammad. And he is an Egyptian, and he is the prophesied Egyptian mentioned in the narrations of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. And there you can see the posters of Abu Sadiq next to what looks like a butterfly. And that time is coming where that metamorphosis is taking place.
How symbolic.
In the spiritual hearts of the people. I hope they will embrace this message, and what a great land it is, and what a significance it shares with the riser of the family of Muhammad.
Egypt is a beautiful place, and the people there are beautiful. They have the most beautiful hearts. They have the most amazing, warm souls that are ready to embrace anyone and forgive anything. They really are great people that have been oppressed so much and for a very long time. And the pain that the people in the streets are feeling, it's being heard by God. God can hear them.
Yes.
God made sure that the Savior actually comes from that land. The riser Abu Sadiq is half Egyptian. And now we have Ansar in Egypt who unfortunately have to do it. Look how discreetly they have to do it. Why? Because, again, the government there is very ruthless, extremely ruthless. I mean, we don't want to go into too much detail here, but you can actually research for yourselves how these so-called intelligence agencies back in the Middle East deal with people.
Yeah, these are secret police that will make you disappear off the streets. They will hang you upside down. They will use all manner of torture tactics that I cannot talk about on a breakfast kind of a show. But Egypt is one of the most brutal and renowned areas where people are subjected to criminal treatment merely on the basis of their faith, or they're actually sent to for the treatments that are meted out there. And it's famous for this. So you can appreciate the bravery and courage of these individuals. So Abu Sadiq says they never get bored, they never get tired until the message of the riser of the family of Muhammad reaches every single home. And soon, inshallah, an exodus will take place where the believers in that land will find their way home to their father, Abu Sadiq.
Amen. And we have an update on our brothers in Morocco. I think that was also posted on the YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and see what's said about that. There's Brother Yahya. After much pressure from the media and human rights organizations, the criminals released our pure brother Yahya from prison. See how Usai calls the authorities who took them in criminals. Look at the pain and suffering present on his face. The other believer, Huzaifa, was force admitted into an insane asylum for his beliefs. A criminal trial has been set for them in Morocco on the 13th of March.
13th of March.
It is, it really is a crime against humanity. It is. It really is. And we have to make noise about it. It cannot be tolerated that we're living in a world where a person gets treated that way. I mean, that face, you could see it. You could see that he's really been through something. And
Yeah, and I think
why?
people in the West need to imagine and put themselves into similar scenarios. Imagine you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're going from door to door, and then suddenly you get a tap on your shoulder, you turn around and you had handcuffs put on your arms, and they're like, well, why are you spreading this filthy religion amongst us? And then you are taken and beaten and locked up and deprived of food and light and ventilation, and you live like this for weeks upon weeks without a single word from anyone. There is no bail, there is no hearing, there is no lawyer, there is no nothing. And put yourself in these shoes. This is the prospect of those people who are talking about the Mahdi in the Middle East and in North Africa. This is their reality, and this is why we have to do everything that we can here, sitting I guess comfortably but far away, to bring attention and light to it. And I think really the human rights organizations have come to the fore, and they have supported us in this
they have.
endeavor.
And why? Why are they supporting it? It's because they know that there's goodness for the world in this call. They're not looking at the call and finding it to be something that is harmful for society. If they had, they would not be supporting it. They have studied very diligently our message and our creed. They've actually read The Goal of the Wise. We have human rights organizations out there that are very connected with us through our human rights outreach coordinator Hadil Al-Khuli, and they discuss the religion with her, and they ask her questions about it, and she talks to them. We've had Amnesty International look into the call. We've had Human Rights Without Frontiers, of course, and actually 25 human rights organizations were happy to sign that letter that said that believers in this religion should be granted the ability to pass the border into Europe. So the fact that they feel that way is because, well, they're not just going to sign a document willy-nilly without checking anything, of course. They've looked into it. They know what we believe in, and they say, hey, you people should have freedom. You should not be persecuted. So knowing that they're actually taking time and taking resources to go to the United Nations Human Rights Council and actually present something in their statement regarding our call, so that more light is shed on the fact that people of this religion are persecuted. It should make the people realize out there who claim to be Muslim, a lot of them, who call in and try and attack us verbally or send in threats or kind of incite violence against us online. It should kind of make them realize something is going right with this call, because so many entities out there are in support of it.
I have a question. I would like to ask a question. How many of these 25 human rights organizations that have supported us or to bring publicity to this mess and this persecution are actually from Islamic majority countries?
I imagine none of them.
There you go.
Because when you go through them, none of them are Eastern. They're all Western organizations that actually believe in freedom of religion, that are renowned for doing so. They go around and they make sure that persecuted parties are given a voice, given a platform where they can speak. And God bless them, because, again, it's another matter of those parties, those entities that support God and His people in a time where you'd think that another party would do it, but they don't.
Yes.
You don't see names like Saudi Arabia or Iran or Iraq supporting the Mahdi. And it is as per prophecy, where we know that the Arabs are unable to handle the message of the Mahdi. Who is saying it? It's not myself and it's not you, Dr. Irfan. It's Imam Jafar as-Sadiq. It is the successors of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who themselves said that when the Mahdi comes, very few of the Arabs will appreciate his message. They will find it heavy to handle his call. And we're seeing that happening right now.
We are.
So again, we make sure that we highlight the number of people pledging allegiance to the riser of as-Sadiq, and we have some of their pledges that we wanted to show you all. There are too many to count to show on Rise Up. We would end up spending the whole 2 hours just showing everyone's pledges. But we put some together. Let's go ahead and give them some airtime as well.
وأشهد أن سيدي مولاي عبد الله هاشم أبا الصادق قائم آل محمد حجة الله.
Upon this I shall live, upon this I shall die, and upon this I shall be resurrected again.
أشهد أن أبا الصادق عبد الله هاشم قائم آل محمد حجة الله.
إمامي أشهد أن عبد الله أبو الصادق إمامي قائم على محمد.
أشهد أن أبا الصادق عبد الله هاشم قائم على محمد وهو حجة الله.
بيعة أحيا وأموت وأبعث عليها إن شاء الله.
شهادة عليها أحيا وعليها أموت.
وأشهد أن عبد الله هاشم قائم آل محمد حق.
Yeniden diriltileceğime inşallah.
Şehadet ederim ki
Mehdi ve Mehdiler Allah'ın hüccətleridir.
Upon this I shall live, upon this I shall die, upon this I shall be resurrected again, inshallah.
So peace be upon all the believers.
We can see people from all different nationalities, all different races. It doesn't matter what their apparent is. They all have the same message in their heart, which is that allegiance is to God, and they've been able to reach the Imam of their time, and they have succeeded in life in doing so, because there is no success in this material plane except for finding God in your time, and the Spirit of God is always behind a veil, a hijab, as we say in Arabic, and that hijab in this time is Abdullah Hashim Abbas Sadiq, and he is that veil because he is the individual who is mentioned in the will of the Prophet Muhammad, who was the bringer of the sixth covenant with mankind. And his covenant was a universal one.
Yes.
And so is the covenant with the Mahdi. It is a universal covenant based on the souls and not on any biology or bloodline. It is a covenant for people who come from the same soul family that goes back all the way to God Himself. And the soul family is brought in specifically by the character of the Qa'im, or the riser, that is mentioned in the narrations of the Ahlul Bayt, the family of the Prophet Muhammad, that are mentioned in the famous narration of the cloak.
Yes.
And they are, of course, also then talked about as the 12 successors, or the 12 Imams who come after the Prophet Muhammad. And it is in their narrations that we find these treasure trove of narrations and hadith that speak about the time of the riser of the family of Muhammad and how to identify him. So it's really important to recognize where the truth lies, and the truth lies in the will of the Prophet Muhammad and not in any apparent act of worship.
You know, while you were talking, Dr. Irfan, something occurred to me, and I was thinking about the fact that we have all these brothers and sisters across the planet, and as we were saying earlier, it is difficult on the Arab mindset, the Islamic mindset, to accept the call of the Mahdi, while people like Sister Donna are finding it extremely easy to tattoo Labbaik Abbas Sadiq on her body and say, this is my religion.
Yeah, it's like somebody from the Arab land going into India and getting Shiva as God, Lord.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Like Hare Krishna on your arm, and you go into Pakistan, people wouldn't do that.
It's
but
mind-boggling.
it's happening when it comes to Abbas Sadiq.
Very interesting.
So what is happening? And I was just thinking while you were explaining that, there's this understanding in the Muslim world, you know, and we bring up the Islamic world a lot here because they actually bring themselves up a lot. When we go live and we talk, we get phone calls from the House of Najaf, from the Azhar Institute in Egypt. We get phone calls from big entities that are representing Islam in this day and age and are extremely anti the call of the Mahdi.
Yes.
And why are they against us? They don't say. They just say they are. They don't have reasons for why this is wrong. They don't have proof against the will of Prophet Muhammad. They just don't want to talk about it. But they do want to threaten. They do want to incite violence. Yeah. Ironically, I find it very ironic that the government of Morocco put the charge against Yahya and Huzaifa, saying that they are basically this is how they said it, right? They are undermining the religion of Islam through incitement and threats. Absolute nonsense.
Yes,
no
garbage.
Incitement or threat was made whatsoever. Nothing was undermined at all. In fact, we are upholding the allegiance to God, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you're saying we're undermining Islam? What Islam are you upon? Now, incitement of violence and threats actually happens from the side of the scholars of Islam who approach this religion for the most part, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the reason that that's happening is they perceive that this call should not be spread. That's why they're arresting children or youths like Yahya and Huzaifa. Now, I was wondering, if you go to a Muslim on the street and you say to them, why does the Mahdi come? They say that in general, right? They say, and the scholars are propagating this, that the Mahdi comes to protect Islam and to validate Islam and to bring Islam into the world.
Yes.
So there's this weird notion that when the Mahdi comes, the whole world will be filled with people wearing hijab, and the whole world will be filled with no one drinking alcohol, and everyone's praying 5 times a day when the Mahdi comes.
Yes.
And there'll be azan everywhere. You know, this is this idea that people have in their minds. And the fact of the matter is that Islam, according to these people, already exists in the world. They admit that Islam is here, and they think the Mahdi is going to come and say, well done, you guys were correct, Islam is the correct religion. Now, if that's the case, then why is Islam not helping the people? Why is it that Islam is currently in the world right now, supposedly?
Yes.
We don't say it is. We say the authentic Islam got corrupted. The scholars claim that they have the authentic Islam. Sistani says Islam is here and everything is going great. There's no reason for fixing anything, right? Then why do we need the Mahdi at all? What's the point of him? And the second point is that is the concept of Islam being persecuted in the East or in the West? The fact is it's not. It's all over the East. And in the West, it's been given a home. People are able to pray in public. They're able to walk around and be Muslim. It's not that they're unable to practice Islam. So why is the Mahdi coming to validate this religion if it's not fixing anything and people know it's not fixing anything? The people have to wake up now and say to themselves, okay, the scholars are saying this is the truth, but is it? Because my family is broken apart, my society is broken apart, my country is torn into pieces. And the so-called religion that I'm following is not helping me or my country or my people. If it's not helping you and it's not a solution to your problems, then it is not from God. Because God's religion will give you solutions. It will provide you with help.
Yes.
And right now Islam is not doing that.
Far from it. And when you've got scholars who are supposed to be the cream of the crop when it comes to understanding religion, making such intellectually robust arguments as, well, the reason why Ayatollah Khamenei is in charge is because God willed it and wants it, otherwise he wouldn't be in charge, then you can see why the Islamic majority countries are in such a dire state. And these are the people who are apparently the best representatives of the religion. They are actually the worst of the creation under the sky. And again, this is something the Prophet Muhammad told us would be the case at the time of the rise of the family of Muhammad, very much in keeping with the Pharisees who were around at the time of Jesus, the Messiah, who, when he healed people on the Sabbath, would get basically a lot of criticism and a lot of hate coming his way. And they used to say to him, why are you healing people on the Sabbath?
Exactly.
This is against the law of Moses. He says, well, what are you doing? You've turned my father's house, the temple in Jerusalem, into a
den of robbers.
Into this state, and he started flipping up the tables in the temple.
I love that part in the Bible, by the way. I love that scene where Jesus just comes and flips those tables over. It is so revolutionary.
This is exactly what the Mahdi will do.
And this is what he is doing. He is literally flipping the tables over of these non-working scholars that are sitting there, filling their pockets with money, sitting on a pulpit, gaining more and more weight, not just in their pockets, but in their bodies, while the people are starving. And they're told, the people are told, listen, you should be paying this scholar. Look how much he taught us today. And what did he teach you? Absolutely nothing that helps your society. So what are we facing? We're facing a nation of people. Many Muslims, by the way, they embrace the call and they come. We ourselves, we're Muslim and we believe in the call of the Mahdi. But many of them, when you tell them ideas such as, hey, wouldn't the world be a better place if we didn't try and kill one another because of race or because of sexual orientation? Wouldn't it make more sense to be more tolerant? Then within the heart, I guarantee you, everyone agrees. There's no human being out there who would hear that and be like, no, I think war is the way to go. I think we should be intolerant. Everyone wants peace within.
Yes.
No one at all would ever say, no, I think it's better to commit murder. Everyone will say, no, let's love one another and live in harmony. But they can't bring themselves to say it because according to their mindset, their scholars have told them, you should hate those people. You should be intolerant towards someone whose sexual orientation is not like yours or whose race is not like yours. It's absolutely insane. So people are so conflicted now. And you have to be brave enough to break away from that conditioning and look at the truth for what it is. That conditioning is breaking the world into pieces. The Mahdi has come with a matter that can resolve these problems. That was what was prophesied. That's what Muhammad ﷺ promised would happen. It is not disloyal to God to embrace the call of the Mahdi. It is brave and it is loyal to accept the solutions being presented by Abu Sadiq, because that is the way the world will be healed. So be brave, be courageous, and as you would say, Dr. Irfan, pick up the phone and call in, because we would love to discuss all of these matters with you. And we should probably go to the next segment because we're excited to have Brother Guillaume and Sister Yasmine on.
Yes.
Before they come, we're going to be playing a Sacred Dialogue clip. Let's go ahead and run the clip, and we'll be right back after that.
And besides even that factor, that's really, to be honest with you, that's just a minor part of the issue. The major part of the issue is that okay, well, what are we supposed to do? Who are we supposed to follow? How can God, the loving God, leave the world in such a state of chaos? Like, he came down, he sent his son to die for us. And then afterwards, like, how can we not be united? Why did he leave us? Why do we have to continue to endure all of the horrible things that are taking, how do we know what God wants? I mean, if I'm not obliged to listen to the words of the preacher or the pastor that's speaking to me, and at the same time I'm supposed to believe that everybody has the Holy Spirit, but we're all contradicting one another as Christian against Christian, right? And I mean, look at World War II, look at World War I. These were Christian nations that were fighting against one another. People that were enslaving people, they were all Christian. People that are killing one another even now, like these are Christian nations that are fighting one another. You mentioned that you're Ukrainian. What is the religion of Ukraine? What's the predominant faith over there in Ukraine? Is it not Christian?
It is.
Okay, what's the predominant religion in the European Union? Is it not Christian?
It is.
What's the predominant religion in Russia? Is it not Christian?
It is.
What about the United States?
Yeah,
right? They claim Christianity, and so, but yet all of these Christians are blowing each other up and destroying one another and killing one another and leaving tons of orphans behind, as you were raised as an orphan. And that's unacceptable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would never leave people without a guide, because he says in the Holy Quran that for every nation there is a guide, and that God does not bring down a punishment upon a people until he sends them a warner first, right? Or a messenger to warn them. Jesus promises that he will remain with us until the very end of the age. He promises that he'll send a comforter. He promises that he'll send forth the prophets and the messengers, right? So that means that there was a lot of people that were promised to be here. Jesus says that he's the light of the world so long as he is in this world. And that means that there's another light that has to be in the world after him. And we believe that that was Simon Peter. And clearly he held the torch after him. He was able to perform the miracles that Jesus performed after him. He's the one who led the church after him. The church continues after him. And so you have to have a leader in every day and age. And that's precisely what the Prophet Muhammad said when he said that whoever dies and doesn't know the Imam of their time dies the death of ignorance, that there has to be an Imam of every day and age, an Imam from the family of Muhammad that you pledge allegiance to. And if you don't pledge allegiance to him, then you're in misguidance. And that's why we would believe and say that the Protestants, all of them, they're in a state of misguidance. Yeah. And also all of those who don't know the Imam of their time, they die. And that's why some narrations even state that the Muslims that accept Muhammad, but they don't accept the Imam of their time, they die as a Christian or a Jew. Why do they die as a Christian or a Jew? Because the Christian and the Jew also don't know the Imam of their time, and also they rejected Muhammad. And the acceptance of Muhammad by the normal Muslim, if they don't accept the Imam of their time, it's the same thing. It doesn't benefit them in anything, because in that day and age in which they're living, they don't know what it is that God wants, or what it is that they have no relationship with God. And in order to have a relationship with God, you have to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit that abides within one particular individual that acts as his mouthpiece, all right, to mankind, so that there's no conflicts and that there's no confusions and that there's no, there's not this multiplicity of voices that are all, calling in different directions. We have one individual that serves as God's will in creation.
Yeah, I mean, God, there's a verse that says God is not a God of confusion, but then everybody's confused. The more that you read, the more that you listen to the preachers, the more that you listen to the Muslims or the Christians or the Jews, the more you're confused. There's nothing but confusion, so if you are confused, you probably don't have God.
Exactly. And so I think that, we have to unite. We have to have these discussions. We have to have this discourse. We have to have open minds and open hearts. We have to use our brains and our logic. We have to be true believers that are not just holding on to that which we want to hold on to from the Bible and rejecting the rest. I think that the evidence is phenomenal, and you're a living proof of that. Fact that the evidence is phenomenal because you were a true believer and somebody who truly loved Jesus with all of your heart and soul, and you spoke to him every day and you cried your little heart out, and he guided you in the end to look for this comforter and to look for the words. It's because you believed in his promise that you decided that you wanted to find out, okay, well, where is it? And you were telling me something really interesting and really beautiful the other day that touched my heart. You said to me, I believed so much in the words of Jesus. You said, I believed so much in the words of Jesus that I went forward and I tried to heal people. I tried to walk on water. I tried to do the miracles. And when I realized that I couldn't do the miracles, that's when I began to search for the fulfillment of God's promise. And obviously one of God's promises would have been in the form of the coming of this comforter. And there you found this man that claimed to be the comforter, to claim to be the fulfillment.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was searching, when I found out about Islam and I was reading the Quran, you know, part of the things that Jesus taught in the Bible was to actually do and believe in the words, you know. So when I was reading the Quran, it opened up a whole new door for me because it says to believe in all the books, to believe in all the prophets. They all came from God, you know. So it opened up the door for me to read all the scriptures. And the more I was reading, the more confused I became. I was like, okay, this wide open field is in front of me, but how do I know who to believe? How do I know this is not true, this is true? So, you know, the only way God brought my heart to a point where I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. And at that point, it was like the only hope is for God to send me someone. You know, because especially if you only read the Bible, you're never going to get there. If you only read the Quran, you're never going to get there. If you only read the Torah, you're never going to get there. And even when you read all of them, you're never going to get there. You have to have a guide. You have to have God to actually send you someone to help you and guide you and give you a clear instructions, a clear path. You know, because there's so many different ones, and you know, a lot of people say that, you know, all paths lead to God, you know, but in reality, it's just one path that all of the prophets and messengers were talking about, and it was just this one. You know, it's just that the people have all of these sects and all of these people who have their own opinions about what God wants. They all make up their own path, and they put themselves in the place of the messenger, of the guide, and say, I know, let me guide you. You know, and it's really evil, to be honest. Like, people who do this to billions of people in the world, they're extremely evil, and this is why Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family called the scholars the most evil of creation, because they know that they don't know, and they're acting as a guide, you know, for people and leading them straight to hellfire.
Well, God bless you, Sasha. Well said, and that was such a perfect episode, and such an amazing time and a blessing to be with you here today. And I want to thank you for joining me, and inshallah, I look forward to continuing and filming many more episodes with you, because I think that we have such interesting discussions off camera. We have to have them on camera so that everybody will benefit, inshallah. God bless you, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, alhamdulillah.
We really love Sister Seha so much. It's such a blessing to have her as part of the community, and the conversations with her are always extremely fruitful. I always learn so much talking to her, and she's got the most kind, gentle soul. She was such a pleasure to watch in that episode, and you can really see how genuine she is, how much faith she has, and she has been through such a journey. So God bless Seha, and I can't wait to see her in more episodes.
Yes, and very much in the same vein as Sister Donna, she comes from a Christian background, and she was a Southern Baptist, believe it or not, and practicing in America, and she managed to find her way to the riser of the family of Muhammad. Again, another inspirational character, and in this particular episode, Abu Sadiq explores the similarities within certain concepts of Christianity which seem alien but are actually very closely connected to Islam, and also the coming together of the bloodlines from the Israelites to the Ishmaelites, and finding unification in the personality of the Mahdi, and how he is the 12th Imam, and how he is the successor of both traditions.
Exactly.
Very unifying figure. Imam Mahdi is not just for the Muslims, he is for all of the Abrahamic faiths. He has come here to establish the truth. So yes, a beautiful episode. I thoroughly recommend, if you come from a Christian background and wish to learn more about this call, to watch that particular episode starring Sister Seha, who looks like she will become a regular fixture.
Yes, and I hope so, because she does bring the episode to light and to life. And I think that if you really look into the lectures of the Riser Abu Sadiq, I personally feel every time I watch any of his lectures, you could just take one of the points that he makes in it and write an entire book on it. Because he really changes the perspective in a way where it starts making sense. People have always wondered, the idea of the lineage of Ismail and the lineage of Ishaq, and how is it that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the comforter? How can he be the successor of Jesus? What happened with Simon Peter? What's going on here? What's going on there? There's all these strange questions and a lot of divisions that exist in religion, and he just obliterates those divisions and he brings it all together as one story, because it is the story of his forefathers. He's very familiar with it and he knows exactly what happened. So when he tells you the story, you're hearing it firsthand from someone who was there. And it's a wonderful experience to watch these lectures. We're very blessed to have the School of Divine Mysteries. And make sure you watch the whole thing. If you haven't seen the full playlist, go ahead to the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel and you can see it there. We're going to go to a quick break. Stay tuned, because we will be joined shortly by the Bishop of France and the Bishop of Algeria, Guillaume and Yasmine. Let's go ahead to the break.
Honestly, I myself come from a different background. I come from Iran, and I lived in Iran for a long time. Then I lived in Germany for a long time. And what I see here, I see a true miracle. This is like a melting pot for all different cultures and nationalities. And the fact that all these people are such a persons with a good, pure, white hearts, and they are all like true brothers and sisters together, and they are really like a family.
I think that it's very unusual that people know their priorities, that they know what they want to unite upon, and that when the call to God actually reaches them, because God is nothing else but pure goodness, pure light, love, call it whatever you want, when that call reaches you, that you actually gather with other people. And this is what we did. We all in our heart literally begged God to somehow show himself. And when he showed himself in the vessel of Abu Sadiq, pieces from him, Abu Sadiq, did this miracle, that he actually educated us so much that we could find a way to navigate our differences.
This community is a miracle because there are so many different people from so many different backgrounds, so many different cultures, so many different religions, and they all get on so well. And that is because, we all have the same goal. We're all following Abu Sadiq, from him is peace.
I think I'm very happy because the different culture and the different country, and you learn the tradition and the different language, and I love you, and I learn, and the different the mentality. In this community, you travel the world because the different countries, Pakistani, American, Egypt, Iranian, African, American, French, and all day.
And this is for me is mind-blowing. This is something that I have never ever seen anywhere else, anywhere. This miracle just reminds me, and it proves to me that the soul, that the glue, that the mind that is bonding them all together and holding these things all together is for sure divine and from God. And that is Abba Sadiq from his space. And he's truly holding all this together very beautifully, all in synchronicity and all in harmony together. And it's like a tree, like a trunk, like a main trunk, and all the branches are here and come together, and they are in peace and harmony all together. So I believe that's a miracle. I believe that only can be done through a divine man, through God.
And I think it is a miracle because I came from a country where we are basically comprised of a multiracial society. And throughout my life living in Malaysia, the politician has been using racial cards and religious cards to divide us. And for many years I have been wondering, is there a way that God can offer humanity to unite us? When I reach this community, I see that all these questions has been answered in front of my eyes, with me living in this community and experiencing the livelihood among all the brothers and sisters coming from various countries with various backgrounds. And I am very much pleased to be here in this community, and I thank God for it.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, basically, if you look into other communities around the world, you'll find that there's all kinds of communities that exist, but they don't have a divinely appointed messenger of God ruling them, leading them. So why it's a miracle? I think it's like, if you think about it, imagine if you were with Jesus Christ, or imagine if you were the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they're building a community that is divinely inspired. And we see that in our daily life. It's the situations and the scenarios that this community had gone through. Any other community around the world, if they had gone through it, they would not have survived at all. It's not from near, not from far. The fact that this community is only getting stronger and stronger and stronger and bigger through, and even though we've went through all of these experiences in these scenarios, by its own right, is a miracle. Because what else can constitute a miracle other than something that should not exist and yet it does, you know? And that's why I think it's a miracle.
And mashallah, I don't have the word for Basadi Kalisalam because it's a man very, very love, peace, and
also keep in mind that communities around the world are split themselves. So nationalities around the world, countries around the world, they have multiple heads trying to control the same environment, the same community. Therefore, you'll always end up with civil wars. You'll end up with all kinds of things that are that would split that society and that community up. But we do not have that because we have a will from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have a very clear, concise way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected our community from splits like that, and the community is protected divinely. This is a miracle.
For us, we learned with the help of Abba Sadiq, pieces from him, to not have stereotypes, so many of them in our mind. We learned to not assume bad of each other because of something that is like unfamiliar to us, be it looks or be it different habits or cultural behaviors of people.
Look, that's the miracle. Trinidad, China. Yeah?
Okay, the reason why I think that having people from many different places makes it miraculous is because it's not only the places where they belong, but their conditioning, their history. We come from so many different mental places. And yet again, we all gather for one same reason that transcends culture, that transcends conditioning, that transcends religion. So it shows that that's a truth, that it is inside the person, no matter their background, and it's kind of like a magnet, just come together to the source of it, which is Abba Sadiq alayhi salam.
When Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam said that God shall gather you all like clouds, this is the physical manifestation of it, and I think that is the greatest miracle.
So all of these different cultures and all of these different backgrounds working together, it proves that the divisions in the world is just something man-made, it's something that's not real.
This community, because whenever you turn left or right, there's a hand somewhere wanting to help you in a world where everybody just want to rob you from left to right. That's why.
Welcome back to Rise Up. We're joined here by our dear brother Guillaume and sister Yasmine from the French outreach team. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So we're excited to talk to them about what's going to be happening today. It's an event taking place in France, and we wanted to jump into why it's happening, who's doing it. So I guess let's
let's launch straight into it. Who'd like to start things off? Brother Guillaume, you look very excited, so let's have you first.
Yes, so we have, first of all of this started with the tragic event of the imprisonment of our brother Yahya and Hudayfa in Morocco. So we have our sister here, Mariam, who had her brother who was raided by the police because he just put basically some posters on the wall and a banner saying Al-Baya Lillah. So the police raided their house and they took them. They took them for 10 days. They completely disappeared. They were basically kidnapped by the police. Nobody knows anything. Mariam was crying here. The parents don't answer. It was a real scary situation.
Yes.
So we decided to, the Ansar in France decided to protest and to make something to make the France and Morocco hear their voice. So they went to the police, they asked permission to make a protest and to make a protest in front of the embassy of Morocco, but it was refused for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but they gave them a very nice place in front of the Eiffel Tower, not far from the embassy.
Oh wow!
So
Okay.
they will have a lot of people.
So even more of an audience. Yeah, no, of course, not making light of a very serious matter. And I think when I say that we're excited by the response of the people who are in France and the French-speaking world to get behind this call to free these two very innocent young men who have been imprisoned for no other reason than to spread flyers about the arrival of the Mahdi, which is a central concept within the Islamic religion in terms of eschatology. And for that reason, we are seeing this reaction that we've seen. People want to get together and make this protest to bring light and attention to this. We know one of the brothers has been released based on the attention that we've already garnered.
Yes.
And now there is one other... One of them is still in detention right now, right?
Well, he's going to be put in an insane asylum. This is what literally was said, into an insane mental asylum, simply because they have deemed him to have mental issues. Why? Because he believes in the call of the Mahdi.
Yeah, and with the help of his parents.
My goodness.
Fortunately. Yeah, these people are seen like insane and criminals, because even Mariam's brother, he will have a trial and we don't know exactly what are the persecutions. So he will have a trial. He doesn't really know what are they, what are the persecutions, and he's considered as a criminal for calling people to the supremacy of God, al-bay'a lillah. And as Brother Irfan said, it is exciting because the people in Morocco were calling people to the truth, and the people in France and all the French-speaking Ansar are calling people to open their eyes and to, it's like something completely normal to call people to God. There is no crime in there.
No, there's no crime in there, and the believing nation is one body. Right? Yeah. So we cannot allow that one part of the body is burnt or hurt or wounded. The entire body will feel it. Yes. It will not just cast it aside and say it is irrelevant. For the body, any part of the body being in pain is an issue. Yeah. And right now, a part of our body in Morocco is in pain and is suffering. And the Ansar in the West are reacting to that. And this for us is so heartwarming. We love to see brothers and sisters getting together and actually doing something about it. This is not even the first time, I think, is it? We've had this before, where Ansar in Belgium actually got together and made some noise because of what was taking place in Jordan.
Yes, it's Belgian people, but in Switzerland. So they moved to. So we have this beautiful thing in French-speaking countries, which is Switzerland, France, and Belgium. Yes. So the believers gather together, and they used to gather together for good events, but now to defend their brothers. So they went to Geneva for Azir brother, for Jordanian brothers in prison in Jordan, and then today they decided to defend the Moroccan brothers. They go to Paris, so they move a bit, and there is also Belgian brothers. Swiss couldn't come, but French brothers and sisters, and also Germans. So some French, from brothers from Germany.
Do they speak French?
They don't speak French.
They don't speak French. How are they communicating with English?
English.
Okay.
What is the source of this kind of spirit of revolution that the French-speaking world has? It's interesting, isn't it? Look, it's really heartening to see the solidarity among the Ansar, right? If there is somebody in one part of the world, like you said, Alia, where one part of the body is hurting, the other part responds in kind. And it's really interesting how the French-speaking Ansar have garnered the spirit of support for one another. And I just want this to spread across the different diaspora of the Ansar that live in the world. So the English-speaking Ansar can compete next time there is a problem going on somewhere. Yeah. But it seems that the French are very first to get to that site and voice their concerns and
they know what to do.
Protest.
Yes, they're like, okay, here we go, guys.
Where does that come from?
Together.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they have the spirit of revolution.
No, it's obviously... Yeah, it's great to see, and I think that this thing that's happening, you said close to the Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's where they've been granted access by the authorities to protest this thing that's been happening in Morocco where we have one person awaiting trial. Is that the brother of Sister Maryam?
No, yes. So both of them are actually awaiting trial, but one of them has been put into a mental asylum as well. So that's like the issue here. We've got this very weird way of judging them. So immediately they decided one of them can be put into a mental asylum. God knows how much he's been assessed at all, on what premise, on what basis, who gets to make that call. And yet they've made that decision that Brother Huzaifa has to be put into this mental institution. And then you've got Brother Yahya, who, again, like you said, Yasmine, he did nothing wrong. And still they're saying he has to be put to trial. And it's very, very odd situation. We were talking earlier about the charges that are put against them being... I always struggle to start saying it because it's so odd and unusual. It is undermining, the word undermining, for goodness sake. They're being charged with undermining Islam through incitement or threats. And this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I mean, I really wish they would explain further, but they cannot. And the reason they have to make this charge up is because there is no charge against them. So they have to find something that can fit for them because constitutionally speaking, they've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, it was extremely strange since the beginning. They kept changing their narrative. So the press came, the first day they came on and they started to say they were terrorists and they were extremists, and they even alluded that they were maybe from Daesh. Okay, but now they released them and there is no charge and they don't even know why they were imprisoned. And so Yahya is waiting for his trial on the 13th. Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes. But for sure, you've got Human Rights Without Frontiers actually highlighting the story, and people are picking it up. And there is some unrest going on in France now in front of the Eiffel Tower, interestingly. I know you brought some images of what the Ansar there are doing and what they're hoping to do.
Yes, so we can put some images maybe on the screen of where the protest is, and maybe...
Yeah, let's bring them up.
Going to be.
And while these images are being brought up, is there any kind of human rights organization that they're in touch with on the ground in France that's giving them support and backing the protest?
So I know that our department here made some, for sure, some calls and some research and some push for that. The Ansar in France, they couldn't reach. They tried to reach every kind of journalist. Nobody answered, unfortunately. So we'll see on the field. Maybe some journalists are interested.
Maybe they'll pop up on the scene, right?
Especially in front.
So I think we have some images ready to show of where exactly the protest will be taking place. And it's going to be taking place today. At what time exactly?
At 1 p.m. France time, so in UK will be 12.
12, so in half an hour.
Yes.
So that's really exciting. I'm just waiting to see. I think all right, they're going to be throwing the images on in a bit.
Yeah, so it's amazing. We have like people throwing protest, to save trees and buildings, and and people, they have this eagerness, to save whatever it is to save there. And the Ansar, they take Abu Sadiq's words, as because he's calling for a change. And he always says that the change starts within us. So these people have, this willingness to change the world and to call people for freedom of believing in God.
Exactly.
It's just about that.
And it's a worthy cause. It's a reason to actually stand up and do something. I think the images are ready now. We can put them on the screen. And Brother Guillaume, you can take us through them a bit.
Any second now? There you go.
So we have the banner. So they did this banner in French, the Ahmadi religion of peace and light.
Could you say that in French for us?
La religion Ahmadi de paix et de lumière.
That's very French.
Yes, that's very
fancy.
But so you can see on the top, down on the right, you can see the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, look at that! So they're going to be doing it there. That's wonderful. I really hope that garners attention and people would definitely come up to them, wouldn't they, and say, "What's happening here? What are you protesting for?" I'm
a lot of people there. Actually, it's very crowded in the day.
Wonderful.
So it's called the Trocadero place in Paris. You can see also some placards they did.
Yeah, they're handmade, aren't they?
Yeah, they handmade it, and they printed some pictures. That these posters that were made by the studio, and so they will keep them together. This is a previous image that was the protest in Geneva.
Yeah.
So yes,
So this is what
this
happened
is
in
the old one
Geneva.
in Geneva, yeah.
I think, is that Sister Laura there in the back? This
Yeah,
is before she
exactly.
came over,
She was
isn't
there.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, God bless her. So right after that,
Same cast
she
of
hopped on the plane
members.
and came over.
So that's our sister Anaïs, a close
Making,
sister to Laure too. She's making this amazing placard
Wow, it's
by
very
hand. You
creative.
can see her making it.
Very creative. Tell us more about the people in the protest who are actually getting up and doing something about this.
Maybe Yasmine.
So we have Sister Anaïs and Alexandra.
Where are they from?
From Belgium, and they actually knew the Dawa together from Brother Ulysse, who is Anaïs' husband.
Okay.
So he actually introduced the Dawa to them. And then we have Melissa from France, and Miriam, Sister Miriam, also from Belgium.
Is this Sister Miriam?
This is Sarah.
Ah, Sister Sarah.
Yeah, and she is half Iranian. Yeah, so these people actually, even if they are from different cultures and countries, they actually come together, and they have this the same feeling of saving the world. You know, and from the Dawa, that's the aspect that actually, you know, they feel like this big energy, this big push, like let's call the people to that, you know. So yeah, and as for the brothers, Guillaume could be more.
Yes, so we have Salim, who is the he took the organization
He's
in
coordinating
hands.
it, huh?
Yes, because he's from Paris, he knows the place, and he's really creative. He wrote some discourse, some speeches to read on the place. We have Ulysse, who is always there. Everybody knows him here now.
We've heard Ulysse a lot.
Yes.
You have to do an interview with Brother Ulysse now. It's, we've heard about him way too much in different areas.
He has to be in the
of
hot
life.
seat next.
Yes.
And so that was his wife creating the placards there.
God bless them. Look at that dedication and the investment, really.
Yeah, and like for example, if we say Sister Anaïs, like she works during the day, and then she comes home, she takes care of her kid, and she does some construction work in the house, and she takes time also to make all these placards and stuff. Yeah, they are really dedicated, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. Isn't it beautiful to see that people know what it's worth putting their investment into? This is the thing. We cannot neglect the call of the Mahdi now.
We cannot forget that these people have jobs, they have children, they have their everyday lives going on, and then to go on the streets of Paris and stand next to the Eiffel Tower and start speaking on I hope they have a microphone as well.
They have, how do you say that?
Megaphone?
Yeah, megaphone.
Excellent. Well, this is exactly what we need. And hopefully a camera to record everything, because we need that footage. And
lots of nice photos.
Yes.
We have to make sure that we document what's going on here and show the world, the believers and everyone else, this is how we do things. We actually stand up and we make noise when something goes wrong.
Yes.
And we cannot sit quietly in our homes eating our cornflakes somewhere while people are being imprisoned and thrown into mental institutions.
And
something has to be done.
By the way, a brother just called me and he said that his parents were extremely angry just because he was doing that. I will not name him.
Okay.
Because I think he's a bit...
That's understandable.
He said that his parents, I will explain why, because he said his parents told him his family in Morocco, there might be
under watch.
Great problem because of that, because he's doing that.
While he's in
so
France.
The Moroccans are extremely scared, even living in France, for the family, just because something is going on in France. So you see, there is a pressure. They are scared in Morocco, actually. Not only our religion, but there is a pressure on the people. Obviously, even the press, French press, recently got kicked out. 2 journalists got kicked out of the country because of the freedom of expression. So there is a real problem there, and there is, diplomatic tensions.
So just to highlight what you said, basically there are family members of people in France that live in Morocco, and they're under so much pressure in Morocco and what the government can do against them, that even while they're in France they have to be careful, even though they're in a safer land. They have to be careful of what's going to happen to their family in Morocco by the government. That's outrageous.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show how far the kind of intelligence apparatus is operating. I think the people... are you afraid for the safety of the people within France who are now going to be part of this protest?
No,
Is there any
because what
indication?
They do is legal. They ask permission. Nothing is illegal. They didn't just jump on the street and.
I mean, more from like the Moroccan angle. Are they that much? By the way, has this reached kind of mainstream news within Morocco? This case, are you aware of any kind of?
Like in a few hours after when they took them, when they raided the house, after a few hours there was like article, and this is what he was saying, like calling them terrorist. Like they used word terrorist, they used word Daesh, they word like like 3 or 4 like mainstream media.
Wow.
Talking about this. And it is just to show like media, they don't do even any research or anything, because if they looked it up a bit, they would see like our banner has nothing to do with the Daesh. Our call has nothing to do with the call of these extremist groups. And then after, when we hit back with some of our like articles and everything, then they started having like other kind of narrative with like, these people, they are maybe like the Ahmadiyya, or they have another leader, So,
well, I'm really glad that it has reached that mainstream level, because I hope it has the same effect that we had in Malaysia, where the government really was stamping out anyone who would talk about this religion, and it actually got a lot more attention. So now that I think more people have heard about this, the fact that you've now responded and they think that we're the Ahmadiyya now, at least it's opened that doorway for further exploring the religion.
And this is the pressure that made them actually release them in the first place. It's like this. And this is exactly what happened in Algeria as well. It was like just the pressure from the human rights organizations, and otherwise they will still be in prison.
I remember when that happened. That was years ago, and it was so horrifying to know that something like that can happen to people, where they're just sitting at home and a whole entire group of people can just be rounded up and taken away. And what's even more horrifying is when the public sees that as something normal, and they say, well, that makes sense that the police could do that. And this is why these protests are important, because we need to wake people up to the fact that it's actually abnormal to be taken away. It's a dictatorship where you're not allowed to even believe within your heart that the Mahdi has appeared or that allegiance is to God. And to put a poster up or put a banner up, if that can get you into the situation that Yahya and Huzaifa ended up in Morocco, then absolutely Ansar from the West who are able to protest must go on the streets. They must make noise, and they must bring attention to the fact that this is happening, because the more that there is outrage towards injustice, the more we can change it. We can fix things. So God bless these brothers and sisters who are doing something about it.
And every crisis is an opportunity. So this represents an opportunity for us to get our call out there, meet people face to face, get some action on the streets. And imagine if there's somebody there who is walking past the Eiffel Tower and they get given this pamphlet or this picture of a Sadiq with a QR code, and then they end up coming to the dawah because of the oppression that these individuals had suffered in Morocco, then that would be a victory for the call. And I think that with the attention that's already been grabbed in Morocco, I think it's very, very indicative in the release of at least one of the brothers that was put into detention. It's having some effect. Now there is a trial coming, and the hope is that this protest now in Paris is going to help to garner support in that case. What are the prospects for this case that they're now bringing up against? I mean, now that you've dispelled the myth that we are ISIS and all these other ridiculous accusations that were made, where do we go from here?
I guess we will have to wait and see, because at the end of the day their file and their case is empty. There is nothing actually they can hold on to that, because also the king of Morocco in 2011, like, he changed the constitution, and he made that law that says that like people are free to believe in wherever they want, and he's basically comment on dit, le garant, he's like the reference point to that. So he's the one actually saying, I'm gonna let people believe in wherever they want, and this is the freedom, and I want to bring this freedom to the people.
Well, that's very nice.
So yeah, that's very nice. But I mean, yeah. So why
Shall
when we call
now?
yes, and we are not even calling to any other cult or something. We're calling to God. The banner was saying Al-Bay'a Lillah.
It's got the name Muhammad on it, Ali from the Imams, who he claims he's from their lineage, right?
Exactly.
And the Mahdi, who everyone is waiting for anyway. And we're saying allegiances to God, and that's enough to cause this uproar, despite the fact that you're saying that he's upholding freedom of religion.
Yes, and it's a new constitution that was changed in 2011. So it's time for him to prove his words. And this protest, I think, also it's important because this is what brings the truth. We want to hear the truth from the people who actually believe in that truth, you know. And so despite whatever all the lies that are saying or trying to cover up that belief to keep people under control, you know. So this is what it is about. It's keeping people under control. We don't want a bay'ah lillah. We want a bay'ah to Muhammad the 6th, you know. So this is what exactly what's happening.
I think we need to do an experiment. I think we should hire some Hare Krishnas, fly them into Morocco, and make them propagate the faith there, and then see what happens. Because if they allow them to do it, and they've got an issue with this call that has in Arabic written Allah on the banner, then it would be really interesting to see if they exercise this clause, this amendment in the constitution that was made in 2011. I have a very strong feeling that they would be allowed to propagate.
I mean, why make this clause if you're not going to use it or apply it? It's very odd.
Yes.
Absolutely. I would be curious to see the results.
Let's contact the local Hare Krishnas and
the doctor within you wants to experiment here.
Yeah, no, I really think this is a great hypocrisy.
It is.
Like you said, he's claiming descent from the family of Muhammad, and now a messenger from them comes with the will of the Prophet Muhammad, and we have a problem, right?
Absolutely. That's what's happening. That's literally what's happening right now in Morocco, and this is why Ansar are gathering there and saying, hey, let's do something about it. Guillaume, I'm sure people are wondering, where can they watch this protest? When can they watch it? And what they should be expecting. So maybe you could just give us a few details on that.
Yeah, so they can go to Trocadero Place in Paris to see them. Or
live in action.
Just continue to watch
you're in the neighborhood.
Channel. And we'll be on live at 12, so in few minutes actually.
Yeah, I guess 15 minutes you'll be live. We'll be wrapping up Rise Up at this point. So the same YouTube channel that's broadcasting here is going to be live streaming the protest.
In YouTube, actually on YouTube it's on the French channel.
Right, so maybe they should be searching the Ahmadi religion of peace and light French, and they'll find
La religion Ahmadi de la paix de la lumière.
Hopefully you'll find it in the French language, and you'll see live on YouTube as well as on this satellite channel. The protest will be broadcast and you can watch it. Inshallah, there will be some attention. There will be people there to hear this message. It's a very critical one, and God bless the brothers and sisters who are actively involved in that. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming in. And now you have to roll on to the next set.
Yes, we're going to let you guys get ready for that, and we will see you all inshallah tomorrow for another episode of Rise Up in the morning. So make sure you're there, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And au revoir.